Yo, 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 what's up? It is your boy Brian Hill back with my boy Gavin, and it's a Bleacher Bros episode number 11. I finally went back and counted back what episode we're on. But Gav, man, how you doing, brother?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Catching up from long weekends and yeah, man, just kind of vibing. Gonna be having me a nice couch potato. Not gonna get my fat ass off that couch over there this upcoming weekend. I can tell you that. So just vibing, man. I'm living the dream. What about you? What's going on with you, man?
Man, I've been good. My schedule in general has been kind of more laid back, which I kind of enjoy. Even though I have like two vacations coming up, going to Florida at the end of May, Labor Day weekend, and then going to Jamaica the second weekend of June, which business wise that kind of sucks because they're so close together. Like this should like reinvigorate me and re-energize me to like want to crush the rest of the year, business and personal wise. So I'm very much looking forward to it because Jamaica was top two vacation I've ever been on last year. Just because I'm a very casual drinker, but I mean I was easily 20 to 20 drinks deep 6 days in a row, and just the Jamaican food is just it's easy to just devour. But
Yeah.
man, you'll be happy to hear I actually got over to Timber Trust and played. We didn't play nine, we played seven, but I played seven with Rod today.
Okay.
So that's
Yeah.
my first time over at the course. Of course, he's not a driving range guy, and I kind of am.
Yeah.
We got out and chipped and putted a little bit, and then got right after it. But it was good to kind of get some kinks out, and I didn't really keep score because Rod wanted me to get out there just to like get some like live shots and get off the range a little bit because I've only played two rounds of nine at my own course here.
Yeah.
But I like it. The course is nice. A little bit better than what I have available to me here, so I'm probably, if our schedules line up, gonna try to at least get out with Rod once a week, if I can. I know he plays scrambles on Thursdays, but maybe between Monday and Wednesday each week, try to get out there and play nine with him because he was very valuable and he gave some good tips. So I'm really got the golf fever right now, so I'm pretty pumped about it all.
Hell yeah, man. You'll have to let Papa Murph know. I know he'll go out there and hook up with you guys, him working nights.
The legend out there is just like Papa Murph is out there just by you because you'll hear him.
But you can hear
Yeah,
him. You can hear him
yeah.
from a mile away. For anybody watching this, if you know Papa Murph, you know you can hear that man from a mile away. But man, I love that, man. I love that you got the bug. You're addicted to it. Yeah, it's an addicting game. So we'll have
Yeah.
to keep you on the track and not break any clubs and stay on the course.
Yeah, I think I'm not that. I used to be a violent, very emotional, reactive player, but I've got older. I've just laid back and I internalized a lot more. But I did get very close to breaking a few windows this week.
Okay.
'Cause, like when you actually get on the fairway and you slice one 290 yards, there's a few houses in the way there, but that's not my fault. I didn't plan and build the course. That's
Oh
their
yeah,
problem.
yeah.
I'm sure they got good insurance. But man, let's get into it. We're gonna start off with the NBA playoffs. That's pretty deep into round two right now. A lot of 3-1 series. I think we got one series tied 2-2. So let's start kind of on a sour note with the Knicks and Celtics. I think it's a double sour note for you being a Celtics fan. I actually had the Celtics winning this series as you did. This has actually been one of the more compelling series because the Celtics have gotten out the big leads, and especially those first couple games. And then I was telling Rod, and I saw a graphic earlier today that kind of confirmed what I was saying. I was like, man, you got to give Jalen Brunson his props because he is easily the best closer in the game right now. There's a reason why he won Clutch Play of the Year, but I saw some numbers that he's on the list with Dirk, Kobe, Jordan, and Steph. Basically, they all average between like 8.5 and 9 points a game in the fourth quarter of playoff games. And that's in a pretty established list to be on. All those other guys all have at least one championship because I think Dirk only has one. All the other guys have multiple. So that I think that's very telling for Brunson and kind of how the Knicks have built their team. But we had the sour note of, man, I was watching the play when it happened. As soon as it happened, I was like, man, that's an Achilles. I was like, best case scenario is it's a torn calf, and he's out like 3 to 4 months with a torn calf. But I was like, man, it's non-contact. He's lunging for the ball. He tried to explode off, and there was nothing there. I was like, man, it's got to be an Achilles. That was confirmed today. He already had a successful surgery, which is great for
Uh-huh.
him. But knowing that and the timeline where we're at right now, we know he definitely won't be back to the 26, 27 season. So he's going to miss a full season, which I actually think would be great for him because it'll be kind of like how KD did it, because KD tore his Achilles in the playoffs too. So he missed a full season next year and didn't come back till 2 years later. And everybody kind of says with Achilles, it's more of a 2 year recovery than just a 1 year. Like you can get back to your sport in 1 year, but you don't get fully comfortable and get your explosiveness and your comfortability back for close to like 2 years. And Tatum is still a guy young in his prime, is going to be a first team All NBA, which I think will be his fourth, or I know for sure fourth, but I think it'll be his fifth first team All NBA. He's a bona fide superstar, and you got to give the guy flowers. And I'll get into this a little bit more, but this is gonna be a bumpy road if you're a Celtics fan going forward. But why don't you give me your input on the series and the state of the Celtics?
Not good. We are not in a good place. I'm not in a good place when it comes to the Celtics. It's sensitive. But nah, man, I mean, unfortunate. It's so hard in today's game to go, bless you. So hard in today's game to go back to back. You've seen it, you thought these dominant teams would go back to back. It's just it doesn't happen. It's tough to do it. It's a copycat league. One team wins it, everybody builds to beat that team. I mean, that's just what it is. Yeah. You saw it, with the Knicks this year. They went out and got pieces, and they have built they build a team to beat the Celtics. And that's what they're doing. Next year is going to be interesting. I think the thing that I'm kind of I don't want to say hesitant to talk about, but hesitant to put out there is the window closed for the Celtics in a championship run? I don't know. There's a piece of me that is like, yeah, probably. But then there's another piece of me that's like, we still got guys on contract. If we can land somebody in the draft, I'm not saying they're going to be a Tatum by any stretch of the imagination, but hey, let's say next year is a really bad year and we get somewhere in the draft lottery for that next year, for that 26-27 season, you're talking my language. I'm like, all right, now let's go. But yeah, man, I mean, I'd be highly shocked if the Celtics came back. I think going back to your point about big leads and giving them up, I think it's not like, and that's the thing, like people, like I've seen people say like, oh, our defense is bad. Like, no, it's not that. It's the fact that like our defense is playing fine. Like we're playing good defense. The problem is we're continuing to shoot threes when we have a big lead instead of continuing to just tack on the mid-range. Because if you just tack on the mid-range or try to get into the paint, guess what? They're going to get into foul trouble, or you're just going to keep extending the lead because they're going to start missing shots. You got to keep the pressure on them. And when you're yeeting up those threes late in the game, it makes it tough to sustain a lead if they're not falling. With that being said, I see a lot of hate for Joe Mazzulla right now. Not a fan of that. I really like Joe Mazzulla. I think he's a great coach. I want him to stay in Boston, and I do not want to see him leave. But Boston is a tough place to be a head coach. It's a tough place to play. So time will tell, but that's just kind of where I'm at, is let's just chalk this one up to, hey, had another good year. We're not going to finish with the ring like we wanted to. I think the thing to keep an eye on, though, moving forward, and I think you'll agree with me on this, is do the Celtics start to shop Jaylen Brown a little bit?
Yeah, so that was a part that I wanted to get into. Is I think at this point, when your best player goes down, top 5 NBA, I mean, first team All NBA, so top 5 NBA player. One, I think Al Horford goes ahead and retires. I'm sure he wanted to go out on top, and that was probably why he came back. And if I was in his position, I probably would have ran it back one more time too.
Oh, yeah.
So I think Al Horford retires. If I saw a graph where once the Celtics, because they have their first round draft pick this coming year, once they draft their first round draft pick and add him to the roster, their salary cap will be at $500 million, which they have a new ownership group. Anybody who's financially inclined, I'm not going to pretend that I am, I'm more speaking secondhand, but anybody who's financially inclined, they look at a $500 million line in any business that's probably not Amazon or Walmart, and they're like, we need to get back in the green, even if that comes with some losses. Because we saw the Warriors do that. The Warriors were like, we've paid all our guys, we've won all our championships, but we have got to get in the green because we can't just keep paying the luxury tax. And the way the CBA is set up now with this apron, the second apron thing, the league is set up for parity, which I think is good because you don't have these dynasties. And walking into the season, there's 5 or 6 teams every year that can win it versus just like 1 to 3, which I think is good for the league in general. more interest. But I think Drew Holiday could be shopped or just out of there. And I think Kristaps, I think just his lack of reliability and he can't jump. And I'm watching him get boxed out by guys 4 or 5 inches shorter than him. And just, he's not the player that he is. I think Kristaps is gone. So, and then we know Jason is out for the next year. So I think they get those guys off the payroll. And then you look at like, one, you're Boston. So like just tanking a season and throwing the white flag.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to accept that in Boston. But it's like, I do think Jaylen Brown will be the second. Actually, yeah. To me, because of his age, he'll be the second biggest storyline of trade pieces going this offseason behind Giannis. I think it'd be him. I think it'd be Giannis, then him, and then KD. And it's like, if you can get some picks and a couple quality players and get that contract off, and because I think if I'm running the Celtics right now, I'm thinking, how can we set ourselves back to make a championship run when Tatum comes back and without just completely taking the system? And I think if I had to guess, I think that's the approach they're going to take. So that's kind of my outlook on the Celtics and what their offseason will probably look like. And I think they're still going to pull out a solid team. I think they're still going to be a playoff play-in team the following year. I don't see them falling to the lottery, but I do see them kind of having a fire sale and seeing what they can get back to build a team around Tatum to when he comes back and to get a strong iteration for the back half of his career. I think when he comes back, he'll be 29 at that point.
Yes. No, you bring up some valid points, man. I think the one thing I look at too is I think this is going to be something to where, and going into next season, and you talk about, shopping some pieces around. Peyton Pritchard is going to come into his own, and I think he's going to be very happy because now he's going to start to see some things kind of shift, and I really, really hope that they keep him. And I think now the odds of us keeping him are a lot better than what they were 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
So with that being said, shopping all those pieces, it's one of those things. Do you try and go get a Derek Lively? Do you try and go get a Walker Kessler out of Utah? Do you try and go get there's a lot of pieces that you could go get that I think people would be interested in listening to for a Porzingis, Holiday, for a 1 year. They'll take him for that 1 year to make a championship run and then give the future, or not the future, I'm not going to say the future, but give a piece away.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting, man. I hate that, we're not going to probably, more than likely, we're not going to, go back to back, but is what it is, and you just chalk it up and you move on, man. That's sports.
Yeah. I think just from that, we should just go ahead and transition to the next series, which is probably just how you want to look at it, one of the second or third most compelling series. Definitely hasn't gone how anybody had predicted it to go outside of Indianapolis, but looking at the Pacers versus Cavs. I mean, the way Indiana right now just playing, they're probably playing the best basketball as a team in the playoffs right now, from like beginning to end, because the Celtics have gotten out to like great leads, but not finishing. The Knicks have gotten off to slow starts, but are finishing strong. OKC has just been inconsistent. Jokic has been struggling with the Nuggets. Ant-Man goes for 38 one night, 16 the next night, shooting inefficiently. So you look at Indiana, it's just like, they're having 3 to 5 guys drop 20 points a game, and it's just a very balanced approach. And they've been overwhelming the Cavs in some of these games. And the Cavs are just look out of sync with Darius Garland being out early in the series, and Donovan Mitchell having to carry such a huge load. And they haven't been knocked because they were the second leading team in threes this year behind Boston this year, and their threes aren't dropping how they're used to. And then Donovan Mitchell's had like a little ankle injury himself. Right now, I have Indy definitely closing out the Cavs and winning the series and having a puncher's chance of being competitive in the finals, because I just think if Miles Turner and Pascal Siakam continue to average 50 plus points a game and continue to be as efficient as they are, that's going to be hard for a lot of teams to match up against them. What say you?
Yeah, no, I agree. I liked Indiana last year too, dude. I
Okay.
just think I think that the difference between Indiana last year was they had to go through the Celtics and a healthy Celtics team.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about Indiana, and if you're just a casual basketball fan and you just watch, the playoffs, I understand you're not going to understand, or you're going to understand what I'm talking about. But Indiana pushes the pace.
Yeah.
They are outrunning Cleveland every single night. There's no way around it. Now it's going to be interesting, and I think it's probably going to make for a better series. The Celtics found the way to slow them down, and that was, take threes, but you get back on defense quick, clog the lane, not let them get in the paint. And that was kind of our recipe for success last year. New York is going to match up well because New York, while they can push the pace, they're used to playing the whole time under Tibbs. So you're looking at it. I mean, I think that series is going to be. I do see the Pacers coming out of that series for sure.
Yeah.
I wasn't sold on Cleveland. I wasn't buying stock in them, to be honest with you, all year. I wasn't buying stock on the Knicks, but I don't know what's in the water in New York, but they're killing it. The city's alive, and that's the biggest thing, man. They got the city behind them right now, and you can just, it's just a different atmosphere up there right now, and you can just feel it from the TV, and it's crazy.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how those games turn out. I think, don't they play tonight?
Yeah, they're playing right now.
Yeah.
Got it. So I got the game right there, and then I got Boston and Detroit past that on the TV.
Yeah.
But Cleveland's leading 46-31 with 6:40 left in the second quarter. So
We'll see how that game goes.
yeah.
I've learned that I can't do distractions. So like I've tried watching games while doing the podcast, and it's like either my eyes are up for too long and I don't pay attention to what you're saying, or I'm just not watching the game. So I just would rather just focus on the podcast while we're doing that. But let's go ahead and jump and transition into the next series, which has been a very competitive series, and I think it's the only series that's probably going to go 7 games, and that's Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Nuggets. And the interesting thing about this series, and I think the playoffs in general, because the two teams I've seen that have struggled with physicality the most this playoffs, I think, has been the Celtics against the Magic and the Knicks, for good and for bad. And I think Nuggets, because Jokic, this is by far the worst series Jokic is playing since he's been the top, an MVP caliber player. And I think the OKC just has enough big guys like Hartenstein. He's got Hartenstein to just lean on him and pull on him and tug him. And then when you have Chet, who's your power forward or center, who's just long and athletic, who just come over and sweep over the top just to add as a double team. They're giving Jokic a lot of problems. And it's, even though the Nuggets have won a couple games in the series, it's tied 2-2. It's just interesting to see Jokic struggle. But as he struggled, Jamal Murray has kind of rounded back into form of what we saw, 2-3 years ago when they won the championship. And he has really kind of helped that team out along with Russell Westbrook's energy. I'm still going with OKC to win this series. How do you see it?
Yeah, no, I'm still taking OKC. I think the biggest thing with OKC, and I think it's just I think people are gonna kind of pull away, but they shouldn't. But it's just I don't want to say immaturity, but I'll more so say lack of experience in the big moments. And I think that's what we're seeing is just a lack of experience. And I definitely am still taking OKC. And I'm going to take them right now, the way it stands and the way I'm looking at everything. I'm still taking them to win the chip. I just think, like you said, I don't think Jokic he's not playing the best series he's ever played. It's probably one of his worst. He's being, bumped and shoved and held. I mean, and that'll weigh on you, dude. Yeah. I mean, you got another, 200 and whatever, pound man, over 250 pound man just hanging on you. I mean, that'll wear you down.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. I know that they play actually tonight at 9:30 Eastern. But yeah, I'm still taking the Thunder. I like them. I think that Shea is the truth. I like Chet. And dude, Jalen Williams, like, people don't give him enough credit, but I mean, that guy can play. He's a hooper. I like them. I like the Thunder. And you can tell, like you say, like Copycat Lee, you can tell they kind of followed the blueprint of the Celtics and what they were building and have really put it together. But yeah, man, I agree with you. I'm taking the Thunder.
All right, and our last series still going on with the Minnesota Timberwolves and Golden State Warriors. So another series kind of marred by a huge injury last week. Steph Curry going down with a mild hamstring injury. I know he's still eyeing to come back by game 6. I still think that's optimistic. If I'm him at his age, I probably do push back because it's like, how many playoff runs do you still have left in you? Although, with a hamstring injury, you can make that worse. And hamstring, and I know you know this, but like when hamstrings start going, they're a problem for the rest of your life. And I mean, you're not going to tear a hamstring just walking down the street, but when you're in any kind of competitive realm, whether you're just playing pickup basketball, golf, or soft or soccer, even just playing with your kids, which Steph Curry's kids are kind of coming to their own now, it's like you don't want to mess with hamstrings because they can always just kind of flare up and tear on you. But the T Wolves took business last night. We're filming this podcast on May 13th on the Tuesday, so they won last night on Monday, as they should, and I think they're going to continue to just be too much for the Warriors. And I don't think Draymond and Jimmy Butler and Buddy Hield just have enough in them. Maybe one more game, but I just don't think they have enough in them to come back and close this series out. So I got the T-Wolves in 6.
Yeah, no, I'm right there. I'm right behind you. I think, like you said, with the inconsistency of Ant-Man, I think Minnesota's top tier. Julius Randle's playing out of his mind. You also got Naz Reid. I mean, Minnesota loves him. And the veteran leadership there, too, with Mike Conley, Rudy Gobert. I mean, there's some really good veteran leadership there. And you look at what they did last year. I'm taking T-Wolves in 6. I don't think playoff Jimmy has enough left in the tank at his age to carry that team. Now, 2 or 3 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
This year, I just don't see it.
Yeah. So I agree with you on that. And I think that's all we really need to say on that series. But, one thing I will say, just kind of like piggyback off the point you made. When I think about the T-Wolves, they probably have the best mix of any team left in the playoffs of old, middle, and young talent and experience on their team. Because you got like Nikhil Walker-Alexander, Jamie McDaniels, Ant-Man, all 25 and under, and then you got Mike Conley and Gobert, both over 30, and I think Naz Reid is like late 20s or so. And that's just a good mixture about, and like a lot of championship teams are built like that, having some old, middle, and new on their team. But transitioning to the second biggest news of yesterday, and this news dropped a little bit before the tip-off of the Celtics and Knicks game of the draft lottery going down. And man, this thing has gone viral just as much as anything has in the past couple of weeks with the Shedeur Sanders stuff, and even going back to last year's draft with the whole Bronny situation. But the Dallas Mavericks had a 1.8% chance of hitting the lotto and getting the first overall draft pick, which I will say is the same exact odds as the Cowboys currently have today of winning the Super Bowl, which is not great odds. But don't tell that to John Wilkie, Colton Bell, and Andre Ford. But it happened, and now it looks like they are well suited to draft Cooper Flagg, which would be a great addition and a conspiracy theory way of saying a great nod at the NBA saying, hey, let's get Luka over to LA because LeBron's going to be out of there. We need a star in LA, and we don't want any more down years like Kobe post Shaq for all those years. And then Kobe retired, and there's a couple years till LeBron came. But I know you have some strong thoughts on this, so why don't you lay them out for me, and then I'll give my rebuttal.
Oh, yeah, absolute conspiracy. Set it up. I mean, listen, I know we want to be family friendly, but I don't know whose dick Nico Harrison had to suck, but he sucked it, and he sucked it well. Listen, man, and you saw where it came. It was a coin flip. It was a coin flip between them and the Bulls. And I don't know. I think that coin only had heads on it, and Nico called heads. Because the timing of it. And then the fact, too, and then think about this, too. The fact that the Spurs got the second one again, like, dude, come on. Like, so, like, there's a piece of me that's like, okay, maybe it is all just the luck of the draw. But then it's like, at the same time, it's like, nah, like, they set that up. Like, they set that up for sure. They set that up. But good for Dallas, man. Good for Nico pulling the right strings, I guess we could call it, to stay family friendly. But yeah, I'm calling bullshit personally.
All right, so let's start with the Spurs, since you brought that up as well. The NBA is built off, just like the NFL, but even more, the NBA is built off stars, and they're built off brands. So for one, in the past 40 years, the Knicks have not drafted a first-team All-NBAer since Patrick Ewing. And as we see how the stranglehold the Knicks and the Knicks fans have on the NBA ecosystem right now, and the virality and the popularity of it, and how the Knicks fans are just tyrannical right now, I would think if the NBA between David Stern and Adam Silver, you would think at some point in the last 40 years, the Knicks would have gotten the first overall pick, and they haven't got close to it. Pre-draft lottery, post-draft lottery. So that's number one. Number two, the NBA is not built like the NFL, where a Midwestern team or a Florida team can draft one player and dominate the league and will draw eyes to it, like Patrick Mahomes going to the Kansas City Chiefs, or Jordan Love with the Packers, and making them relevant, the most popular team in the league. The league, I don't know if you've ever been to San Antonio. And I know I've told okay, good. You know, it's a great city. Like Charles Barkley said, those women are big down there, and they love the girls.
Yeah.
But they're one of the most boring franchises in the NBA history, even with them having the dynasty or split dynasty they have. It's just hard for me. I could see it, but it's just hard for me to be like, Greg Popovich just retired. They have basically an unproven coach that they just hired for the helm. It's like, okay, Wemby, Rookie of the Year, Stephen Castle, back-to-back Rookie of the Year, and they're getting a second pick, which will put them in a pretty good spot to have another Rookie of the Year. But if I'm going to give you anything, I'll give you that. But going to the Dallas Mavericks. So let's just think about this, because the Dallas Mavericks, amongst thousands of people having, if this was a real conspiracy, thousands of people would have to be involved for them to pull off this ruse. But the Dallas Mavericks, when you look at what has happened post-Luka trade, they have not acted as a team that was vying for the number one spot. Because what has happened post-Luka trade? They trade Luka for AD, and then AD is hurt, and they try to rush him back because they're like, we're going to prove a point that we're right about Luka, and we're going to push towards the playoff and win a couple playoff series. So they rush AD back, and he gets hurt first game. Boom, he's out. But then Kyrie shows some magic, and they go on a little win streak, and they're playing fine, and they get AD back again, and then boom, Kyrie goes down. But they still push forward. Then they make the play-in, and they win the play-in game. And up until about midway through the fourth quarter, they were right there with the Grizzlies to make the playoffs. And if they play probably 7 more minutes of better basketball, they're in the playoffs instead of the Grizzlies. So at no point have they ever acted, and I don't think you go through all that effort with all those guys in the team and all those professionals just to set up to get Cooper Flag in the number one pick.
Unless you just wanted to make it look like you were trying not to get Cooper Flag with the number one pick. I mean, hey, there's multiple ways you can look at it. Conspiracy theorist is always going to say, look at this hand while I'm doing something with this hand. But I agree with you, man. I mean, the conspiracy side of me wants to believe that it's some bullshit. The realist side of me just wants to be like, yeah, dude, like lucky sons of bitches. Okay, Nico Harrison, you get to keep your job because you know that man was looking for, insurance rep agencies that he could go work for. He's about to call our boy Rod and be like, hey, Rod, can I come work for you? Like, that man was struggling. But no, man, I agree. I think good for Dallas. You'll make the Dallas fans happy. And, maybe it's just good karma. Maybe that's what we just chalk it up to is, they did that and it's just good karma. Good things come back around, I guess. I don't know.
I am glad that I do like it's in the NBA. I like my stars playing, not necessarily in big cities, but just for good franchises. And the best, really the only thing the Utah Jazz has ever done, they've done 3 things right. They drafted Karl Malone and John Stockton and had a great coach. I can't remember the coach's name right now, but they had a great legendary coach, and that team was great in the late 80s into the late 90s, really, because Karl Malone didn't leave to go to the Lakers till like 2001 or 2. And then they drafted Andre Karolinko and were a perennial playoff team with them, and that was a great, marketable, great guy for that franchise as well. And then they also had Gordon Hayward. Didn't they draft Gordon Hayward as well? Yeah, and he was a great guy. He made an all-star team in the West before going over to Boston and another more bad luck Boston snapping his leg like what 5 minutes, 7 minutes into the first game of the season, which is one of
Yeah,
the
it
most
was
gruesome things I've ever seen in my life.
yeah, it was insane.
Yeah, heartbreaking for that guy. So I like the fact that now I will say this conspiracy theory because remember a couple weeks back I talked about how the people who own this team have the casinos and are actively trying to move them to Vegas.
But yeah,
So again, this will be great if having one of the better prospects of the last 10 years, you could say Zion and AD and Cooper probably the best three prospects going into the draft of the last 10 years of guys who you just think are going to be all NBA level players at some point in his career. Zion is just eating his way out of that. But AD has definitely been that at multiple points in his career. So it will be exciting to see, one, if they keep it, because there's a lot of people who think Dallas could trade the number one pick to like a Milwaukee Bucks and bring Giannis into play with AD and Kyrie whenever he comes back, probably around All-Star break next year, and give the Bucks the number one pick so they can go ahead and start rebuilding how they'd like to. So it'll be interesting to see how all this kind of transpires and plays out post NBA Finals. But man, I want to transition because we talked a little bit off air about this, and I was kind of taken aback by Rafael Devers' lack of flexibility in his career. And I'm going to give you a few minutes just to rant and give and say what you got to say and get it off your chest. And
Yeah.
I won't. But the only thing I will say is I saw a graph, like I mentioned, where it was like notable players that have won MVPs and championships and changed to a different or premium position to help out their team. Number one, two-time MVP, Aaron Judge. He's a natural right fielder, but definitely more of a natural corner outfielder in general. And he moves him to center field after Aaron Hicks kind of didn't pan out for them. Even another two-time MVP, Bryce Harper, moving from a natural corner outfielder, right fielder, and moving to first base, which is even like a harder transition. Moving from infield to outfield is one thing, but moving from outfield to infield, well, he never really played infield. He came up as a catcher, and then they moved him to outfield in the minor leagues, and then now he's going to play first base. So maybe his catching skills they're definitely transferable, but it's been like well over a decade since he's been a catcher.
Yeah.
Probably getting closer to like 12 to 13 years because he's only 1 year younger than me, or 2 years younger than me. Yeah, he's 2 years younger than me. Anywho, so Rafael Devers basically saying he doesn't want to or not comfortable moving to first base to be able to help out the team is just, to me, is asinine because like you're a good player, you've been a very productive player, an all-star level player, but you're not on a Hall of Fame trajectory. So like, what are we talking about here? But
Yeah.
the floor is yours, my brother.
Yeah, no, I think it's bullshit. Yeah, I think it's absolute bullshit. I think it's a crock. There's a couple things, man. So the first thing that really kind of struck me in the comments is what he said about Craig Breslow, saying that he just doesn't feel like he likes him, this, that, and the other. Like, there were some comments that he had made about Breslow. And to me, it's like, bro, are we in middle school or are you a professional baseball player? Like, I can see a high school kid saying some shit like that. But you're talking about you're getting paid millions of dollars to play a kid's game and you're going to act like a bitch? You've lost your mind. Like to your point, there's so many people that are such better baseball players than him that have moved and taken steps to help their team be better in whatever way. A prime example just this year is Javier Baez, who we knew is probably one of the smoothest second basemen in the history of baseball. And his season was so bad last year, and he went to the front office in Detroit and said, how do I fit into this? Where do you want me to fit into this? And he has bought into every single thing. He is playing center field. He is batting ninth. He is playing second base. He's even playing some shortstop. And that's what I'm saying about like a team guy. And I don't understand because, you know, I hear all this Boston media and it's like, oh, the locker room's still in good shape, this, that, and the other. Bullshit. There's no way. And I just know that from being a competitor myself and you as well, that you're going to sit here and tell me that if I had a teammate that won't get his fat ass off the bench and go play first base to help us win ball games, that I'm going to be okay with that. You've lost your mind. Yeah. And I don't know too many teammates that I would have played with that would have been okay with that. Yeah. That would have been like, oh, yeah, man, that's fine. It's his world. We're just living in it. No, it's not. Like, we're trying to win baseball games. We're trying to bring a trophy back here, rings, all that. Like, so look at it from a baseball fan standpoint, and I think it's bullshit. I look at it from a coach's standpoint, and I think it's bullshit. And I look at it from a player standpoint, and I think it's bullshit. So top to bottom, I'm ready to trade them, send them out. I don't care. Go get somebody for them. Go, for all I care, send them to the damn Colorado Rockies, and we'll take 3 prospects. Go let him fucking rot in Colorado. I don't understand it. I know you don't understand it. I think we're pretty much on the same page, just knowing our competitor mindsets and who we are as people. So yeah, man, I can't make sense of it. I would love to be a fly on the wall in the locker room because I can't imagine it's in a good place. And here's the last little point that I'll bring up is, how many times have you seen a Latin-born player like just be such a headache?
Yeah.
Like on the field,
Almost
like,
never.
yeah, like you'll see some stuff off the field,
Yeah.
whatever. Like, okay, whatever. But on the field, they just want to play ball. That's all they care about. They just want to play ball, man. They don't care who it's for, what they're doing. I mean, Manny Ramirez is still going out and trying to play ball at like 55 or however old he is. I mean, it's like, come on, dude, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
And we got this little fat, tubby, and I mean, listen, rock through a glass house. I'm fat, tubby, whatever. But you're going to sit here and not tell me that you want to go play the game of baseball that is the best game ever? Like, I don't know, man. So that's my rant. I'm over it. I'm ready for them to trade them, shop them. I don't care. Get them out of there. We don't need them. And that's where I'm at with it. But you give me your thoughts. Tell me what you think about it.
So kind of like I was saying off the air earlier, I just can't think of a Red Sox player who has been, since I have been watching baseball, which dates back to 95, 96, 95, 96. I just can't think of a Red Sox player, even me not being a Red Sox fan, I've paid attention a ton to the AL East, and like, you know, the AL East probably the most, because I got to watch a lot of those games being in Florida. And I just can't think of a Red Sox player who's been more toxic than what Devers has been since spring training of this year. And in the team's current state of being, it's like you're down, not really in contention right now. And I kind of, like you were saying, like the player side of it, personally, I would have struggled with it. Like I might have fought the dude in the locker room, or at least confronted him in the locker room and be like, dude, like, what are we doing? Because I was a corner outfield, but I played about 20% of my games at first base. Because I knew, because we had some, at both schools I played at, we had more guys to be able to help us out in the outfield than we did at corner positions at both schools. Mm-hmm. So if I can go be an okay first baseman and we get more bats and speed into the outfield, like, I was up for it. So, like you said, from a coaching, from a player, from a fan, it's just like, I feel like, and I don't know how many years left on his contract, but I would be wanting to shop him out, especially to a team that needs a bat, to get just whatever I could get for it. Mm-hmm. Because, like, again, in baseball, you don't have a salary cap, so you don't need to match salaries like the NBA and NFL does. And just like, get the guy out of there, get the best prospects you can get draft picks. I don't know, whatever. Probably the only thing you can't do, because it has been proven to be detrimental. I don't know if you ever heard the story about the guy who was traded for 15 bats in minor league. Do you ever hear that story? Don't remember the guy's name. Kind of a sad story, but you can look it up. There's a minor leaguer probably 15, 20 years ago that was traded for like 15 bats, and he ended up committing suicide after.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but that's neither here nor there. I personally would, if I was a Boston fan, player, organization guy, I would be out on Devers at this point in the season, in his career, and because baseball is a work ethic sport, but it's not like conditioning is not involved. Like, there's plenty of baseball players who are out of shape, bad body, don't look like athletes, and they're like absolute studs. But even when you look at Devers, it's like I question a lot about your character and your playability now. It's like, I kind of need to get you out of here. Find a team who needs a bat. Maybe they can flip it around. Maybe they can change, because, like you said, with the Latin-based players, most of them are playing for more than they play the love of the game, but a lot of them are playing to like change their whole village's life and trajectory, like back home where they're from, wherever they may be. Because you listen to Vladimir Guerrero and Miguel Cabrera and Andrew Jones, like all those guys sent a lot of money back home to help out their native people, and It almost feel like Devers is a guy that like never goes home because why would you go home and help other people when you won't even help your own teammates on the place that you actually make your money from? So that's just kind of my thoughts on Devers.
Yeah, no, I actually wow. This is crazy. I can't believe I haven't heard this story. The 15 bat player?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, he played at TCC.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like I'm reading the article right now, and like Mike McLeod, the like
Yeah.
infamous TCC, like talked about him and was like, "Wow, that is okay. Wow."
No, so I just
And
educated you.
he's from Roswell, Georgia.
Yeah, I remember him being from Georgia.
Jesus, yeah, went to Tallahassee Community College. Wow. Okay, I'll have to call
Yeah,
Mac and see.
yeah,
I'm like, dude,
yeah,
that's wild.
yeah.
Like,
We got to do
wow.
some deep diving now.
Yeah, holy shit. Okay. All right. All right. All right.
Maybe you'll be able to get some better details. Like I said, that story happened so long ago. I don't remember all the details of it.
Yeah, it was in like 2009.
Yeah, sounds about right. So, like I said, like 15-ish years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was wild. But I remember because that was like early Twitter days, and I remember like a 2011 story resurfaced from like Jason Stark or Peter Gammons, one of the OG baseball writers.
Yeah.
I remember it was like the 2-year anniversary, and they like resurfaced from like a similar trade happening in the minor leagues at that time. There was
That's
another
crazy.
player like 2011 he wasn't traded for like bats because like nobody in the MLB or MILB like wanted to do anything like that drastic. But there was another guy who was like he was basically like they wanted to trade him for peanuts just to get him out of there, but
Yeah.
they ended up trading him I think just for like money for like 100,000, and he
Yeah.
was a guy who was already like making AAA level money.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, let's presumably our last segment here. Let's go ahead and transition into the NFL. And just looking forward, we always kind of keep football in our cycle here. But man, with the now that we know where the rookies are, I think almost all the big rookies have signed their rookie deals, and we just had rookie camp go through this past last week and through the weekend, and we've gotten to see a lot of these guys in their jerseys, moving around, going through drills, getting the early playbook installs and all that good stuff. So why don't we go over two rookies who we're looking forward to play week one? So it's gotta be guys that like we know they're gonna start week one, and like who we're ready to see like what they're gonna look like on an NFL field in that jersey, helping them team trying to win. Why don't you go first?
Yeah, man. So first guy is going to be Cam Ward. I know you've talked a lot about him. I don't know if I've bought the stock in him yet, but my tune is kind of changing. So quick story, was in Nashville this weekend for Mother's Day. Went up there with mom and dad and Emily. We went, and so went up there, man, and went to the Bananas game because they were playing again. So took mom and dad to that, and Cam Ward actually came out onto the field. It was kind of sick, kind of a cool moment being in Nissan Stadium and him running onto the field. And one of my buddies who coaches for the Bananas Fox, we were kind of talking, and I asked him, I was like, so how was he? He's like, dude, he's so cool. And this is something, and I don't want to get too off topic here, but this is something that's very interesting. So the Bananas have had Travis Hunter and Cam Ward out. And I've heard this from multiple people, and I've kind of seen it a little bit, and you can guess, and you're gonna say I'm not wrong, but I've heard that Cam Ward's, I guess, how do you want to call this, maturity level is so high, and he's so laid back, and he just is like, man, I just want to play ball.
Yeah.
And, on the opposite hand, Travis Hunter is, they said, you can tell he's very young in his mindset. And so it's very interesting, and it's very interesting to hear people that have met these guys and, have had interactions with them kind of say those things. But Cam Ward is definitely the guy that I want to see. I'm kind of getting a little, I guess I'm kind of teetering on leaning towards him. Like I kind of like him a little bit. And then my second guy is kind of a wrench. It's kind of one of those little like loopholes, but JJ McCarthy. It'll actually be his rookie season. And I want to see what happens in Minnesota, man.
Yeah.
Coming off of a really good Sam Darnold year. What's it going to look like? Is it going to look good? Is it going to look bad? And he's the guy week one. So, barring injury, I think those two guys are the guys that I'm looking forward to seeing. But give me yours.
Well, I'm gonna give my couple points on yours because I just work backwards. I think with JJ McCarthy, he's gonna be very intriguing to see because a lot of like almost everybody universally agrees that coming into this season, because Minnesota is one of the few teams who hasn't lost anybody, and they lost their starting left tackle in like week 8, I believe, and he's going to come back healthy this year. So it's like almost everybody at university says like they have at worst a top 5 roster in the NFL. A lot of people would tell you, even with their on the defensive side, we know what they have on the offensive side, that they probably have the second or third best roster behind the Eagles in the entire NFL.
Uh-huh.
So I think this thing kind of lays on JJ McCarthy if he's an average quarterback, if he's the 13th through the 16th best quarterback in the NFL, they'll have a chance to win a playoff game at a minimum this year. And if he's like just a good quarterback, the ninth, the 12th best quarterback in the league, which he has a chance to be just because of the defense and the opportunities and just the guys he's throwing to, and he has like a top 5 O line as well. It's like they could push towards an NFC Championship game. So I would be interested to see JJ McCarthy as well. Because the one game we really did get to see him in preseason, he was going to win the job over Sam Darnold.
Uh-huh.
And we would have gotten to see this last year. Cam Ward. So I don't know if you saw the presser with Brian Callahan earlier today, the Titans head coach. But he was asked by a reporter, and they were like, "Hey, with Cam being a rookie and going through rookie drills, like what are some of the mechanical things or technical things that you're going to work on?" Brian Callahan was like, "Look, the dude has like immense arm talent." And he can really spin it, and it's kind of like some of those old John Elway stories. Like a lot of the rookies are like were shocked and were complaining about how hard the ball was being thrown at them and how quickly it was getting on them. And it was like, so with those guys who play so many games and have such good arm talent, we don't really work on the upper body mechanics. Like you can always work with their feet work, but he's one of those type of guys that that's going to work out, and we can make tweaks here and there. But he was like, honestly, there's not a ton of technique tweaks that we're going to be making with him. We're just going to let him go out and do this thing, which I think even saying this far out, that's just a good sign that based on, like you said, his character and the production that we saw. And I think the Cam and Travis, like I can see that and believe that based off what you're saying, off what you've heard, because they have completely polar opposite experiences for the last 5 years. Because Travis was the number one high school prospect who could have went to any school that he wanted to, but he was going to Florida State before he went to Jackson, and then he won a Heisman. So he started out as the best high school player in the country, and then the best college player, literally, and then went second in the draft. So he's used to being the best like all the time for basically the last 8 years or so. Whereas Cam, had very few offers, but basically went to a DAA, school, and then played at Washington State, which is still a mid-major school, and then get to Miami and broke records at Miami. So it's good to hear that about Cam, but I'll go ahead and give him mine. So my first one is Abdul Carter.
Uh-huh.
I saw him stand next to Cam Scottaboo at rookie minicamp last week, and all the other coaches, including Brian Daboll, who's not a big guy, but it was kind of startling to see the size of the kid. And then when you hear about his metrics and his explosiveness and what he was able to do in college, it's like he has because he looks to be very similar size to Myles Garrett. So if this guy is Myles Garrett in the NFL or anything close to it, I actually think he's bigger, more physical than Micah Parsons is. And I think y'all all kind of know how I feel about Micah Parsons, that this guy, the Lions might have the best defensive line in the NFL if this guy is hyped his spot, because they already have a great D line. They just had a terrible offense last year. So I'm excited to see what he can be, because he may, depending on how the Giants do, he may be like a top 3 finalist for Defensive Player of the Year. Because when you're being added to the best defensive line in the NFL, arguably already to make it the best defensive line, it's like this dude could come out of rookie year and have 15, 16 sacks, which would be crazy, which would definitely put him in a very good position to be defensive or rookie of the year on, definitely not just the defensive rookie of the year, but just the rookie of the year period. My second one is, and I'm gonna round my point out, because it's really 3 guys, but it really comes down to one. Everybody, y'all should all know I'm a Chiefs fan, and our division just got significantly harder because Geno goes to the Raiders, but then they draft best running back prospect Ashton Genty with the 6th pick, and then The Chargers last year got Jim Harbaugh, who made them a playoff team in 1 year, and they already got Justin Herbert, who's a top talent, we'll just say that. Not a top producer, in my opinion, outside of stats. But then they get the second best running draft prospect in Marion Hampton, who was my favorite guy coming out in the draft. Actually, I love Ashton Genty, but realistically, I'm like, man, if Amarian could just fall to the Chiefs, that might set up the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes for the next 5 to 6 years to just get to another 3 Super Bowls. But that didn't happen. I think he got taken at 22-23 to the Chargers. Or no, 24 to the Chargers, sorry. But the guy I'm looking forward to seeing, one, because he's also in our division, but more importantly, because he went to my hometown college, UCF, and he actually went to my actual high school, Edgewater High School in Orlando, Florida, is RJ Harvey, who a lot of people who are comparing to Alvin Kamara. And if Sean Payton with Bo Nix and their offensive guys, I think they got Evan Ingram, tight end from Jacksonville Jaguars, like, if this kid is anywhere close to Alvin Kamara, he ran a 4.4 and a 40. He can split out, catch some balls in the slot. Like the Broncos got a great one, possibly the best out of the three, depending on how their offense will look. Because Sean Payton is definitely the second best coach in that division, in my opinion. But he's an offensive minded coach. Like the Chiefs could like start having some real obstacles come their way for the next 4 to 5 years. So I'm very interested to see how RJ Harvey, who I think he's going to be a plug and play, pushing for a Pro Bowl. And I know you got Trayvon Hendrickson and the other Ohio State running back and Marion Hampton and Ashton Genty. And there's only so many Pro Bowl and Rookie Bowl spots and all that stuff. But I think this kid in that offense and how their schedule is going to be because even though they were a third place team, they were still a playoff team, but they're still getting a third place schedule this year. So that could push this kid to be one of the more fantasy friendly guys and just one of the better running backs in the NFL to start out his young career.
Yeah, no, man, I think all four of those are going to be really good ones to look out for and to watch. But yeah, I think it's finals wrapping up, man. Playoffs for NBA are getting closer to the finals, and I think baseball is about to start ramping up. I think you're about to start seeing some trades going down, and then NFL is getting closer and closer.
What's the score of the game going on right now?
63 Cavs up with 9:40 left in the third.
Gotcha. So still could be a good game. We'll see.
So it could be
I'm
a
about
good
to turn it
game.
on as soon as we end this thing.
All right, yeah, and then Red Sox are down 6-4, and I can't see the inning. I want to say it's the 6th over there. So that will be the rest of my night.
Yeah. All right, brother. Well, it's been a really good one. I enjoyed this one. I've enjoyed all of them, but I really enjoyed this one. I'm glad you got to get some stuff off your chest.
Yeah, some stuff that will eat me up.
But man, you have a good rest of the week, and you deserve some rest this weekend. Get some R&R, some quality time with the lady, and you enjoy the rest of your week. And good job, and I will try to do the same myself.
Absolutely, man. Enjoy some golf.
Yes, sir. You have a good one, brother.
Peace.